Hey guys, so today I'll be looking at all of my predictions for the full sets coming in the second half year of LEGO Star Wars, the second half of 2021 that is. So I'll just be looking at every set that I think will be coming then, and the only rumour we have so far is that there will be a lot of sets, so that's basically it really. So we'll be going off that and just redoing it, also looking at the UCS set and the promos. So starting off, I think we'll get a dual set, and that will be the duel on Mandalore. We didn't get one in the early half of the year, which like we usually do, so I think it could come here, and I don't think it'll be based off the Mandalorian because they wouldn't be given that source material, but it would make a lot of sense to do duel on Mandalore, and then we'd also get a Season 7 Maul figure. Next up, I think we will get a $30 battle pack. I think we'll get two, potentially, and one of them will be a Galactic Civil War kind of one, just with Rebels and Stormtroopers, don't know which way that'll be, and another will be based off the Bad Batch, and this will be some form of clone one, probably Phase 2 clones, that's the only one that really makes sense, and it would potentially also have two Bad Batch figures. As I explained in my Bad Batch predictions video, they'll probably split them between two sets like they'd usually do, so maybe 3 of them will come in the shuttle and 2 of them will come in the battle pack. So instead of just having two $30 sets, I think we'll go back to January 2016 when we got 4. That would explain getting a lot, plus that would fill in for the missing one we had in the January wave. So starting off with that, going back to 2016, we'll have an Obi-Wan's Jedi Interceptor, and as pointed out by Nick's Bricks Productions, this would go well with the Anakin's Interceptor from last year now. And it would also be a good way to get an accurate Obi-Wan figure, potentially based off the Clone Wars. The fourth one would be a Snowspeeder. This would obviously would be a remake quite soon, but it would go well with the 8080, which just released, and they haven't really ever done a 8080 on shelves without a Snowspeeder, even though they retired the 20th anniversary one knowing they had that, so it makes sense that the 20th anniversary one wouldn't be selling because it would be $40, so they'd make it a $30 set, which would make a lot more sense and sell better. Maybe probably at least 2 minifigures obviously, and then maybe a third just to get that selling, and I think then that would be a great addition next to an 8080, and you could obviously get a few and make a big Battle of Hoth with the new white base plates too. The $40 set, I think it'll be an ITT based off the Mandalorian, and this would make a lot of sense for one of the Mandalorian sets, probably the most sense out of anything, because it was featured in the trailer and lots of promotional material, so they could have obviously done it and even based it off Season 1. So I mean, it would make a lot of sense just to get those minifigures from Chapter 12, and as I said in my Mandalorian prediction video, it's likely that we'll only get sets from the first couple of episodes, just because they haven't really, the other ones haven't been in any promotional material, so they wouldn't send that out to LEGO. Another thing I want to mention is the TIE Outlander based off Season 1, could obviously be based off Season 2 too, but I think Season 1 would be more likely, and this one we actually did have a rumour for back in like September for a Winter 2021 set, and it was stated that the rumours were strong but not confirmed, so I think that this set could definitely have been made earlier, possibly to be released then, but it didn't release then, so maybe they're just releasing it in this wave, because having 2 TIE fighters in one wave isn't that good. So I mean, with that, I also think that my previous prediction of the TIE Interceptor won't be happening unless they don't do the Moff Gideon's TIE, but I think the Moff Gideon's TIE is definitely more likely because we actually had rumours for it. Next one is probably the most likely on the list, other than maybe the TIE Outlander. This is the Bad Bat Shuttle because, well, it makes a lot of sense to do considering the Bad Batch, and if they are going to be making 2 sets of, I've explained my reasons for that in the Bad Batch predictions video, so you can go check that out. But yeah, it just makes heaps of sense to do the Bad Bat Shuttle. I don't see why they wouldn't. This would be like an $80 set probably, and it's the only one that really makes sense, other than a smaller battle pack. So again, as stated before, this would include 3 minifigures, at least 3 Bad Batch figures, then maybe one other minifigure, like maybe a Phase 2 clone, or like Fennec Shand, or, well, we don't really know, maybe Tarkin. And obviously at this point we only have one trailer, so we don't have much to go on, but it's probably some other character we don't even know who's in the show yet, and that would really make a lot of sense, I think. So yeah, I think that would be an amazing set to make. It would sell really well, and it makes a lot of sense to do, and I really do think that that will happen. Now, in regards to the system scale gunship, which I think would make a lot of sense to make, I don't think it will happen if the UCS one happens, so I think we can cross that off the list, and it could be an ATT instead, maybe, just some big Clone Wars vehicle maybe, or just something different entirely, but I also think that we'll get an MTT. I think that's been arguably talked about for a while now, because of the 7-year thing, an MTT every 7 years, and this would be the first blue one, based off the Clone Wars. I don't know what it would be based off, maybe an earlier season, but yeah, I think earlier season would definitely open a lot of opportunities to get like an earlier Ahsoka, or an early Clone Wars Obi-Wan, which we haven't really had in the new style before, so I think that would be really cool to get. Maybe that would include Rex. Just one of those big Clone Wars sets would definitely include Rex, I'd say. And I also think we'll get a Bo-Katan in any of these sets, at least in this wave. Like, whether that's based off the Mandalorian or the Clone Wars, I don't care. They're basically the same minifigure, so it would make a lot of sense just to do that. Another thing that's been floating around a lot recently, including with the B-Wing and stuff, with the Jabba's Palace, I guess, that people have been talking about that they want. I think Palpatine's arrest has definitely come up quite a bit, and I don't know if this is likely. I think that the Clone Wars recently has definitely added a lot more fans to the prequels, so it would make a lot of sense to do now. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if this happens, but I wouldn't be expecting it. So I don't think this will happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did, and I think there'll be some kind of big set there, but that's the only real thing we could speculate there as one of these sets. Another big set based off the Mandalorian in its early episodes this season that could definitely come in would be the Gazante class freighter. They've already kind of had a design for that, and it wasn't a popular set then, but I think now it definitely would be, and they'd lose the TIE fighters, include Bo-Katan, Mando, some officers and stormtroopers, and that would be unbelievably popular, I think, and that would be a really good set. Now, I think Moff Gideon's light cruiser has come up a lot recently, but I do not think this will happen, as it has not been in any promotional material. So I think that it would definitely go to another Star Destroyer, another big set, which would be a Vendor. I think a Vendor remake would definitely make a lot of sense based off the Clone Wars Season 7. That would include like a Jessie minifigure, some Maul, Ahsoka, just lots of nice figures, I think, and that would make a lot of sense. So I think that would sell obviously amazingly well within the community, and I think everyone would love that so much. Of course, another thing to mention is the Book of Boba Fett, which will be the big release at the end of the year. This is currently filming, so I don't know what it would be, but it will be some kind of set from that. Obviously, we do usually get sets based on releases for these big things, like live action stuff, like one set maybe before it, unless it's like a movie, but for the Mandalorian we of course had the ADST Raider, so maybe a set similar to that doesn't spoil much. I don't think it'll be a slave one. I think that the other one just retired, so it wouldn't make a lot of sense to do that. Jabba's Palace has its own reasons for the past one being quite controversial, and I might do another video on why, if that will ever happen again, so I don't really know what it will be. Maybe just a cheaper set, like $70, $80 perhaps, maybe slightly more expensive, but minifigure wise probably just Boba of course, and Fennec Shand, and I don't really know what else. I'll link a video of Republic Studs down below about the advent calendar and how it kind of teases future sets. So basically you can look at that in more detail as to why, but basically the ones that are left are Lars Homestead, the Republic frigate, a Lucre Hawk class frigate from the Separatists, and a pit droid. So I think that pit droid will come into life as the next buildable character. That would make a lot of sense. I think it'll be some kind of droid with a probe droid coming soon. So I don't know how they do that, but I think that the minifigure that kind of comes with it will be that build from the advent calendar, and the only one other than that is potentially a gonk droid, but I think that might come later, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. That's kind of all of the main set releases, but there are still 2 sets left to come, which are the UCS sets, which I think will be a Death Star. I talked about that quite a lot. I think other people are saying UCS Slave 1 remake, and I've definitely in this video talked about why I don't think it'll be the Slave 1, but I don't think it'll be that there. I wouldn't be surprised though. But where I think the Slave 1 will come in is for the Star Wars Celebration promotional, which will be a midi-scale one similar to the Betrayal at Cloud City one. That's just a prediction, but I think that would be quite cool to get as a promo. Maybe a nice arm-printed Boba minifigure coming in that, and that would be a kind of a cheaper way to get him. Maybe a rarer way, but it would be cheaper, I guess. So I think that they'd make some kind of mini-scale one where he could fit into it, or maybe not even one with a minifigure, just a bigger kind of one that's in midi scale. I think that would be quite cool, and I think a lot of people would like that, and that would potentially also celebrate the Book of Boba Fett. I am probably not right about a lot of these, but I think the main ones to definitely think about that I think we will get are the ITT, the kind of battle pack from the Bad Batch, some kind of clone one for $30, and a Bad Bat Shuttle. Other than that, I wouldn't really confirm anything. Obviously I can't confirm that, but I'd just say that that is the most probable, and also the Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter definitely. But yeah, I don't really know other than that. Those are just my predictions for now, with the only thing we know, that kind of big update, and I just wanted to do that. Next prediction video for this will definitely be once we get kind of more slight rumours, and I'll go at least 3 more kind of slight ones. Obviously when we get bigger ones, probably in March, I won't do any prediction ones from that anymore, and I'll do rumour ones instead. But yeah, that's just really what to expect, I think. But yeah, that's what I'm expecting, not probably what you'll expect, and I think you'll have other predictions, but those are mine. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. That'll be all, folks. Goodbye.